Hey guys, Jay here. Thank you for checking out this video, and this is my F1 fantasy team for the 2024 British Grand Prix. Okay guys, so after the Austrian Grand Prix, which we'll get to in a little bit, I've decided that having taken a 10-point penalty for that Grand Prix, I'm going to make one change. So I've got rid of Logan Sargent, and my options are Zhou Guanyu, who technically has the most points out of my options, but most of those points came earlier in the season. So Bahrain got 11, China 13, United States 20, whereas lately not as much. Valtteri Bottas, his teammate, who has 20 points less than Zhou Guanyu, but if you look at his form, wasn't great at the start of the season, but since Monaco, it's been, fair. So 8 points in Monaco, 8 points in Canada. Fair enough, he got one in Spain, but then he got another 8 points in Austria. So his form is steady, is probably a better word to use there. And obviously, besides bringing Logan back in, my final option is Alexander Albon, who unfortunately has 0 points in fantasy due to all the negatives. I feel bad for Albon because he's a good driver and, he deserves better. But he's had some hard hits, which has not helped him. Although he is, I think he's the top rated selected driver, 48%. So, like I say, I'm only going to swap Logan Sargent, and it's going to be out of those three. I've decided to go with Bottas simply because of his steady form. So if we look here, 8 in Monaco, 4 positions gained for overtakes. Fair enough, he got the one in Spain, like I said, that was due to losing race positions. But again, in Canada, sorry, I skipped there. 6 positions gained, 2 overtakes. And in Austria, 2 positions gained, 6 overtakes. And just to, again, say what I was saying, technically, Zhou Guanyu is ranked higher by 20 points in overall points scored. He's also above Bottas in the average points scored by about 2 points, or just under 2 points. But, excuse me, if we look at the valuation changes, Bottas is 0.3 million above Zhou Guanyu in valuation changes, and also he's selected more as well. 26% of players have selected Valtteri Bottas compared to 16% for Zhou Guanyu. So that is going to be my pick. So I'm going to lock that in. Now that leaves me with an extra transfer for the next Grand Prix, which I think is Hungary, and 1.8 million to play. Unfortunately, I was a little short for Esteban Ocon, who would have been an option. But I think the team will do okay. Now, having said that, let's address the elephant in the room, which is obviously the collision between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. I feel bad for Lando, I really do, because they're supposed to have a genuine friendship. Max was way out of order. I like Max, but he was way out of order. But I did like Max, I've got to admit, he's not in my good books right now. But if Lando keeps putting on this pressure and keeps picking up these points, because again, he got driver of the day. And I mentioned this in my video for the Austrian Grand Prix, my Austrian Grand Prix fantasy team. I said how I was missing out on those extra points by not having him in my team, which is why I brought him back in. If he had, even if he'd finished second, even with a 5-second penalty, he would have scored so many points this past weekend. If he keeps putting on this pressure on Max and keeps getting these results, he's got a good chance. He really has. Know that, but he's leading my team, and my team is Papaya-Stealth because I'm a McLaren fan. So it's great having him in the team just for that reason alone. But yeah, I feel for him after what happened this weekend. I think he'll get a good result this weekend in the British Grand Prix, providing Max behaves himself. Now, talking of the Austrian Grand Prix, let's talk about Haas. So, as you can see, I've got Kevin Magnussen and Nico Hülkenberg in my team. They're part of what I call my overtakes team, along with Lance Stroll, due to the overtake rankings. Those that have been watching me this season will know I like a good overtake. So, top 3 in overtakes. Apologies, my one of my health conditions is playing up today. But, damn. Lando got driver of the day, but Haas has got to be team of the weekend. So K-Mag got me 16 points. He gained 2 positions in the sprint. He got 3 overtakes in the sprint. Finished in 8th, got some points. Got 4 positions gained, 3 overtakes. And again, Hülkenberg got 20 points. So, alright, he lost 2 positions in the sprint, but 4 overtakes, so 4 points in the sprint. 8 points for race position, qualifying 2 points because he qualified in 9th. 3 points for race positions gained, 5 points for overtakes. I mean, like, when it comes to the midfield / the back, I am beefing up Haas big time. I was a little worried going into the Austrian Grand Prix because K-Meg's obviously been kind of naughty this year. Some things I'm on his side, some things I'm not. Hülkenberg has had some great qualifying this year. But I do think Haas is a team to really consider having in your fantasy team, whether it be the drivers or whether it be the Haas constructor. I guess preferably the drivers. But, I mean, they were holding Max up after Max lapped them. They were like, come on, Max, get on. Like, move. Like, we've got our own race to do. So, yeah, big up for Haas this past weekend. I'm really hoping they get a good result in the British Grand Prix because they deserve it. Obviously, I brought Lance Stroll in for Austria as well. And part of that reason was I've been wanting him for a while to beef up my overtakes team. So again, we're keeping him. Bad qualifying. Unfortunately, qualified in 17th. But again, he's in my team for overtakes, and that's what he did. He got 8 overtakes in the Grand Prix, gained 4 positions. So happy days. He scored me. What was it? Got 16 points. Now let's come to the constructors. So you'll see I've got Mercedes and I've got Ferrari, which is... So I believe from memory, I got rid of Red Bull and brought in Mercedes for Austria. And the reason for that was obviously George Russell and Lewis Hamilton are starting to pick up quite a few points, especially George doing really well. I was contemplating bringing in Lewis for this Grand Prix because Lewis does really well at the British Grand Prix. But after, I know Russell won because of what happened with Max and Lando, but Russell's been performing very well. And you can see here, they got 46 points in Monaco, 74 in Canada, 66 in Spain, 76 in Austria. They're on an upward trajectory. Not quite there with the Red Bulls and the McLarens, but they are going up. And if they continue this trajectory, it's going to do us well. And I think, providing everything goes smoothly, they'll do well at Silverstone. Now, this does bring me to Ferrari. So, obviously, they had those mishaps in Canada. Unfortunately, Leclerc got that damage early on in the Grand Prix. So that, that affected us. Ferrari, for me, at the moment, they're in my team because they're good. But are they good enough is the question. Whether I keep them for the foreseeable future is something to be determined. On one hand, I'd like to bring in Red Bull because of Max, because let's face it, he does score points, big points. Checo, on the other hand, not so convincing at the moment. But then there's also my team McLaren. Do I bring McLaren back in? Because Oscar Piastri, P2 in the race yesterday. So at the moment, I am sticking with Ferrari, but there's a pin in it at the moment. There's a pin in it. So yeah, that is my team for the British Grand Prix. Let me know what you think in the comments. Who's in your team? And moving on from that, let's look at my result and the league standings. Okay guys, so this is my result for the Austrian Grand Prix weekend. And I actually didn't do too bad. I got 213 points, which was more than what I got for Spain, I believe. Lando got me 26 points despite what happened. Unfortunately, I did lose a lot of points there. Don't forget, I'm carrying a 10-point penalty as well going into this weekend because of an extra transfer. So driver of the day cancels that out, which means if that incident hadn't have happened, even if he came second with a 5-second penalty, I would have been laughing, really. But sadly, we all know what happened. But 26 points still, I'm not going to complain too much. It's still a good return given what happened. Logan, again, the same as what happened in Spain. He just sort of cancelled himself out. Well, actually, no, in Spain I think he got a point, whereas this time it's 0 points. He lost the position but got an overtake. But he was always my sacrifice anyway. We've gone through the Hasses already. K-Mag got me 16. I won't go too much into that because I've already done that. Same with Nico, he got 20. And then Lance Stroll got me 16 in total. So 2 positions in the sprint, gained 2 overtakes in the sprint, and then again he got the 4 positions gained and the 8 overtakes in the Grand Prix. And then we come to the constructors, so Mercedes got me a nice 76 points thanks to Russell getting that win, Lewis finishing 4th, again because of what happened, as we know. So it still kind of helps me out though. And Ferrari got a 69. They would have got more if it wasn't for Leclerc's early damage, which he even said himself it was a racing incident, just one of those things. But overall, again, I'm pretty sure I scored more than what I did in Spain, and I'm happy to be scoring over 200 points. That's good for me at the moment. Unfortunately, though, if we go to the league standings, I have dropped. I've dropped by, I worked it out yesterday, and I think I've dropped by like 210 or 220 places. So I have dropped a little bit. But in terms of points, I've dropped back by about 15. So I'm 815 points behind the leader, which is now Porsche F1. Last time out, it was Leapers 1. So a little back, a little bit of a step back, but not too much. So I'm not too disappointed. Again, all things considered, with what happened, we would have been in the top, the top 30. So maybe around, I would have hoped around 26,000, something like that, maybe. Could be wrong, but I can't complain too much given what happened. But hopefully we'll get this arrow pointing upwards again for Hungary. In terms of the Papaya-Stealth Open, And as always, I will put the pin in the league. You can join at any time. It's just for a bit of fun and bragging rights. And I checked this earlier, and for the second Grand Prix in a row, I won. I beat Verstappen by 11 points, and the Raven Racing by 23, 26, 36 points, if my maths is correct. So yeah, happy days. But overall, I am still bottom. And I'm still quite a way behind. So yeah, Verstappen's still leading. Again, just for a bit of fun, just for a bit of bragging rights, feel free to join if you want to. Again, pin is a link to the league is in the description as well. And you know, but I'm hoping to catch up like soon, especially going into the second half of the season, because I don't really want to come last in my own league. Kind of embarrassing, but yeah. So anyway, that's the league standings. Okay guys, so in the latest F1 news on the website, other than, you know, the back and forth between Christian Horner, Red Bull, and Stella McLaren, for some reason Horner thinks that the 10-second penalty that Max got was harsh, but Horner's obviously living in La La Land again. Stella's right, everyone does know who was at fault. Apparently, F2 racer Colapinto is going to drive Sargent's car in the Williams during the first practice at Silverstone. And of course, Lando feeling let down, and rightly so. But what did give me a bit of a chuckle was this one. The single dumbest thing I've done, Wolff reflects on embarrassing radio message that could have taken Russell out of Austrian Grand Prix. You see here it says, "Just let me drive." And apparently what happened was when Toto came on the radio saying, "George, you can win this, George." Apparently Russell said, "Just let me effing drive." And Toto did apologise. He said, "My bad speaking through your braking, it just got me." And Russell replied, "You got very excited there, Toto." But when I was watching the race, I thought George said, "Oh, no way," like in a very happy, obvious voice. I don't remember him saying, "Just let me effing drive," but okay. But yeah, that just gave me a bit of a giggle. You know, it's their first win since Sao Paulo, since Brazil 22, right? Or was it 20? I think it was 22. But yeah, that just gave me a bit of a chuckle. But otherwise, I can't see any like penalties going into the British Grand Prix, at least as things stand, because today is Monday and anything could change. Oh, and Hulkenberg and Magnussen, Hale, amazing team performance, which it was. They were great. The Hasses were absolutely great. K-Mag made me laugh though when he asked about the tyres. He said to his engineer, when the engineer said, "We need to save our tyres," and K-Mag goes, "What, just me or Nico as well?" And the engineer goes, "Both cars." And typical K-Mag response, "F that." I love K-Mag, I really do. And just, yeah, the other giggle was when Gasly passed Ocon and he said "ciao." Like, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Drive to Survive is going to be amazing. But yeah, all jokes aside, I can't see anything about any penalties going into Silverstone as things stand. So finally guys, I wanted to show you something that I used to use a couple of years ago when I first started playing F1 Fantasy. I haven't used it this year and I'm just sort of getting used to it again. I'll put a link in the description, but it's called F1 Fantasy Tracker. You may have heard of it, you may not have done. Like I say, I used it back in 2022 when I first started playing F1 Fantasy and making videos around F1 Fantasy. They did pretty well back then, so this kind of became like my main thing. But what's good about it is when you go to the home page, it tells you what they call the biggest winners and the biggest losers. In the home page, you've got your standings as well on the right hand side. If you go to the prices, you also get what they call points per million. You get it in the F1 Fantasy game as well, but when it loads. So yeah, you'll see here you've got these drop downs, and you've got the current price, season start price, so you can see how much they gained price wise, and their points per million, so how many points they've scored per million of their value. This was something I used a lot back in 2022. And down here, it's like this little graph just showing you their changes. But they've also got a new team builder. Now, I'm still playing around with this, but essentially it says discover the top teams for your grid, adjust your fantasy lineup settings, click to see how each calculated team performed recently. The featured driver is the most boosted driver, ×3 or ×2, i.e. turbo driver. Drivers are ordered from the most to the least scoring. You've got this little value adjustment here, so obviously you start with 100 million, and for some reason it won't go to 100 million, I don't know why, but anyway. And what you essentially do, you pick your current lineup. So for example, I've got Ferrari, I've got Mercedes, I have got Bottas, Hulks, Lando, and who am I missing? Mark Stroll. And then essentially it then compares that team to other teams and what their recent scores are, I believe, and how much they're worth. So kind of gives you an idea if you want to play around your team, like who should you bring in, who should you keep. It's not, I know when I was playing around with it the other day, I would have to make like four transfers. But you've got all these different options. So Simulator 24, that's 4 races. I don't actually know what these are, so apologies. But yeah, it's a nice little tool. Something for you to play around with if it helps. I'll leave a link in the description. I'll be playing around with it myself for a little bit, because I may bring this back into my videos that I brought it in to my videos back in 2022 when I first started playing F1 Fantasy, and I found it helped a lot. So yeah, so check it out. That's it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, then please give it a thumbs up to help support the video as well as the channel. And if you want to follow my team throughout the season, then please do hit that subscribe button. We mainly do F1 Fantasy on this channel, but we do a little bit of racing and sports gaming as well from time to time, just to, to vary up a little bit and have a bit of fun as well in the background. But yeah, good luck for this weekend. Remember, if you're in the UK, I believe it's going to be live on Channel 4 as well as Sky Sports. And like I say, yeah, good luck, and we'll catch up for the next one. Thank you for watching.